Welcome to Giants Roundup. It is Friday, March 8th. I finally have time to do a show this week. I have been really busy, so better late than never, but we are going to do AL West preview tonight. Bryce Harper signing, of course. Legal issues with Larry Baer. Maybe talk a little Giants spring training. Yeah, it's March. Everybody have a good. Hope everybody's having a good week. You can follow on Twitter, join the Crew and Kite page on Facebook. Most importantly, please be kind and hit that subscribe button. And let's start off with the signings for the week. Cardinals signed Matt Wieters to a one-year contract. It is a minor league contract. Trying to win the backup job behind Yadier Molina in St. Louis. The Pittsburgh Pirates signed Adam Warren to a one-year contract worth $2.5 million. And certainly going to fill the void with Kirby Yates and Craig Stammen. And could be used as an opener. Shall they use that option or not? Then you got Miles Mikolas extended this week. The Rockies extend Nolan Arenado long term. So those are good signings this week. We got the Toronto Blue Jays signing Bud Norris to a minor league contract. Norris has had some success as a closer. He did hit a bit of a decline in the second half of the season. I certainly think he will be a good, valuable part of the Blue Jays bullpen this year, and certainly could be some good trade bait for Toronto at some point of the 2019 season, depending on how the season goes. And then Toronto wasn't done yet. They signed another starting pitcher by the name of Clay Buchholz, who was certainly a good rehabilitation project for the Arizona D-backs last year. But he could certainly be the swingman in the Blue Jays rotation, which looks pretty nice as it is already with Stroman, Sanchez, Baruki, Shoemaker, and Richard, and possibly the last spot in the rotation could be a toss-up between Clayton Richard and Clay Buchholz at this point. And definitely could bring back more prospects for the Toronto Blue Jays. And the biggest news story of the week, of this last week, Bryce Harper finally signs a 13-year, $330 million contract with the Philadelphia Phillies. He will receive a $10 million salary and a $20 million signing bonus. And then every year after that, he gets paid $26 million until 2028, and then gets paid $22 million for every year after the 2029 season. And he has a full no trade clause, no opt out. So he is in Philly to stay for the next 13 years. And he will certainly help the Phillies in what is going to be a very exciting NL East, very competitive NL East. That'll be the next show. Hopefully Sunday we'll do a preview on the NL East, but Philadelphia's batting order is just got much better with Bryce Harper and JT Realmuto. And their rotation's pretty good as it is already. And they're not done yet. They are still on the hunt for a closer by the name of Craig Kimbrell. And I think at some point in the next week or two, we will see Craig Kimbrell sign. I think he goes to Philadelphia, and it is pretty much playoffs or bust in Philadelphia, and we'll see where I have him projected for the 20 for the season next week on the next show. But at least he's not a Dodger, and better them than us. I can say that. And is he going to be worth the money? Time will tell. You got the Angels, who are now looking to eat the remainder of Albert Pujols' contract, and he's definitely his better years have gone by already, and I think they would like to find some way to get out of Albert Pujols' contract. And Pujols definitely not what he used to be. So we'll see if this ends up another Albert Pujols situation or Miggy Cabrera in Detroit. But certainly some risks and some rewards with it. And certainly Harper is going to hit a lot of home runs at Citizens Bank Park. That is a very hitter friendly ballpark in Philadelphia. And now it's my big question is Maikel Franco going to be in for the long term in Philly, or is he going to be gone by the middle of the deadline to acquire another bat? But for me, Philadelphia, it is playoffs or bust. The rebuild is over in Philly. Good luck to them, and enjoy that guy named Bryce Harper. And then it's kind of been a rough week in the Giants front with Larry Baer. Last week, Larry Baer caught on camera shoving his wife off a chair, fighting over a phone. And I certainly don't find that acceptable behavior. MLB certainly looking at it. And now Larry Baer taking a leave of absence from the Giants, and the executive board will take over on an interim basis as of right now. But there's just I I don't condone any type of violence. It was caught on video. And this certainly spares the MLB from putting Larry Baer on paid leave. Now it's just our due diligence to see if he's guilty or not. And certainly SFPDs can definitely take a look at it. But it doesn't look great for Larry Baer right now, and especially at a time in an era where domestic violence is a big problem, and where it's getting a lot of it just puts a black eye in the Giants organization with that. But I wish the executive board a lot of luck on that, and we'll see who they look for in a new CEO. Charles Johnson definitely not doesn't have exactly the cleanest hands either. He has some political issues I'm not going to get too deep into, but that is actually who is the owner of the Giants, the Franklin Templeton guy known as Charles Johnson. So, but maybe Larry Baer gets suspended for a while, or the Giants just find another CEO to take over. That's a real possibility. But right now, Farhan Zaidi right now is currently the interim CEO by default, I'd say. But there is so many different shareholders in the Giants organization, and you just have to put their faith in those guys to make the right moves. To name a new CEO if, say, Larry Baer does step down, and I think that would be the most honorable thing to do to prevent any controversy. And we'll just let the due process figure things out for that. And then Cameron Maben has arrested for DUI about a week ago. I don't know if he's going to make. I don't know if he's going to make the roster or not. As of right now, he's not looked great in spring training thus far, only hitting a .43. But then again, a lot of the other scrap heap signees have not done great as of right now for the Giants, as in terms of the outfield. Yeah, Maven only hitting a .43. Drew Ferguson hitting a .33, but he's a Rule 5 draftee, and he's still got time to turn it around. But Mac Williamson not looking too bad in spring training, hitting .250, has had a couple home runs. Williamson, I think, definitely has an advantage to make it the opening day roster since he is out of options. But we'll see if Mac Williamson can stay healthy, but he's definitely done okay in spring training thus far. But there's still plenty of spring training baseball to go around for the outfielders. But Gerardo Parra might win the starting job because nobody's stepping up. You've got so it could be Williamson, Parra, and Duggar and maybe Slater and Austin Slater as your fourth. See how that works out. Chris Stratton not looking that great thus far in spring training, posting a not so wonderful ERA of 7.50. Stratton out of options this year, so they are going to give him a little more rope. Ty Block looking better this year since becoming a bullpen guy. Travis Bergen definitely looking great right now. He could swipe a final spot in the Giants bullpen. The way he is pitching, he is another Rule 5 draftee, so that is really good news there. Tyler Beatty, this has probably been one of the more pleasant surprises in spring training thus far, carrying a good ERA of 1.29. And his pitches have looked much better than last year. He definitely had a nightmare season last year. And this just looks like a kid who really took the off season to fix what was wrong with him, took the time to fix it, and is he going to make the opening day roster? I'd say, unfortunately, I'm going to say no as of right now. But he does have options. He will be in Sacramento this year, excuse me. And I hope he can. I hope he can find success this year in AAA. He's definitely had a bad year in AAA last year, and hopefully that his command and stuff can translate back to hitter-friendly PCL. And who knows? Maybe there is something left in Tyler Beatty. Maybe he's not going to be an ace, but maybe he can thrive in the swingman role and that may not be too bad in itself there. So certainly in the swingman role there. But definitely, I wish a lot of luck to Beatty there. Melanson, it's not been spring training's not been kind to Mark Melanson right now. Definitely looking like a guy who could end up in the mop up role if things don't get any better. And this was probably one of the worst signings Bobby Evans made the last couple years. And if things don't get any better, I'm wondering if Zaidi decides to cut cut bait with Mark Melanson. He's definitely not been a closer, and he could just simply become an overpaid mop-up pitcher. And I really think the leash is short. You've got other kids in AAA wanting his spot in the bullpen. You've got Ray Black. You've got Nick Vincent. You've got Travis Bergen, who is looking to keep himself up in the show. So there's a lot of. So I definitely think Mark Melanson's really starting to become vulnerable at this point. And then his spot maybe in the seventh inning now, that could be Sam Dyson. That could be the hard throwing Reyes Maranta. So certainly some options there, and he just needs to pitch better here. But on to the good for last few weeks. Joe Panic, he's doing good. It looks like Brandon Belt making contact. And it looks like Bumgarner trying to work on more off-speed pitches, which I like. Definitely the velocity is down on Madison Bumgarner, so you got to adapt and pitch more off-speed. And Bumgarner is a very cerebral pitcher, and this is a really good way for him to keep his longevity in the league by going with more off-speed pitches and less of the hard-throwing stuff with his declining velocity. And there's going to be some ups and downs with it, but developing more off-speed is what you got to do as you are becoming more of an older pitcher, and you cannot rely on your fastball as much. So certainly some good steps forward by Bumgarner, and we'll see what carries on to the next week of spring training. And now on to the AL West preview for this year. I'm going to start with the team I think is going to finish in fifth and work my way up to first. And this was a kind of a toss-up between these two teams for last place in the AL West. I'm kind of going to say it's going to be the Seattle Mariners. Seattle definitely in rebuild mode this year. They traded away James Paxton. They've traded away Robinson Cano. They've traded away Edwin Diaz. So they are definitely rebuilding, trying to get prospects in Seattle. Does Jerry DiPoto still deserve a job in Seattle? No. Is he going to do the right thing? I think not. But I think last place is where Seattle is going to be this year. But maybe an eye on the future. They definitely do have that ace that they signed from Japan. They've got that Yusi Kikuchi pitching in Seattle this year. He could certainly be the future ace of the Mariners rotation. But certainly this could be the final year of King Felix in Seattle. His contract is up after this year. Definitely has either been hurt or has just struggled the last few years pitching. And then also Former Giant bad boy Hunter Strickland now in Seattle. So we'll see if he ends up getting the closer job with the Mariners this year, if he can stay out of trouble in Seattle. Fourth place, I've got the Texas Rangers. They definitely have a few bats with Joey Gallo. Another team that's just looking to rebuild. They've got some pitchers that they're going to probably look to flip at the deadline. Of course, they got Shin Chu Chu they'd love to get rid of. Delino DeShields Jr., another future. And then got Mike Minor, Lance Lynn, Drew Smiley, Edison. We'll see if Edson Volquez can come back healthy this year for the Rangers, but I don't think. But firmly in fourth place is where I have Texas this year. And the next team I'm going to go with in third place is going to be the LA Angels. It's going to be the Oakland A's. I'm going to go with the Oakland A's in third. The A's, they had a great season last year. I think they still have some good bats. They did lose Jed Lowry to the Mets. But we'll see if Franklin Barreto can finally hang on. Question marks in the Oakland rotation this year. You've got Mike Fiers over there in Oakland. You've got Marco Estrada. And then a couple other guys in the fighting for rotation spots. Frankie Montas right now looking to be maybe the last guy in the rotation. Can Brett Anderson finally stay healthy? Is another question. Can Brett Anderson stay healthy? And then Daniel Mangden, another guy who's been inconsistent in the Oakland rotation. And certainly at some point, I think Oakland's going to have to look for upgrades in the starting rotation if they are contending. Maybe they should go out and get an ace. Maybe they could, with Dallas Keuchel still on the market, I think Oakland should maybe open up the checkbook a little bit, go after Dallas Keuchel. But they definitely have some good bats. They've got Chris Davis. They've got Mark Canha. And then definitely a good bullpen. You've got Blake Treinen, who was a shutdown closer for the A's. And then also the lefty they got this last year for the A's, Joaquin Soria, the lefty specialist. But I think they're going to take a little bit of a step backwards this year in Oakland. And they'll prove me wrong again, probably. So we'll see how they do. Second place, I've got the LA Angels. And I think the Angels are not done. They've definitely have done a good job upgrading the rotation this year. They bring in former Mets bad boy Matt Harvey, and we'll see how good Matt Harvey is this year. You've got former A Trevor Cahill, who's still putting up some decent numbers. Jonathan Lucroy, definitely a good catcher over there, and I think he's definitely going to help things out for the Angels. You've got Nick Tropiano, and then Andrew Heaney. So I think that the rotation's actually pretty good. And I wouldn't be surprised if they go out and get a guy named Gio, maybe go out and get a Gio Gonzalez, maybe get another bullpen piece. Bullpens, I think is going to be their weak link in with the Angels this year. But I think this year it is about playoffs or bust for the Angels. It is time to get Mike Trout into the postseason if you're the Angels, and I think they're going to do all they can to get Mike Trout to the postseason. So certainly, I think they're going to acquire some some bullpen help towards the deadline, and they're going to look good. And I kind of think the Angels, they're not going to win the division, but I think they are definitely going to be in the hunt for a wild card this year. And my first place team will be the Houston Astros. Fell short last year of repeating, but they definitely have some holes this year. They've lost some players. They've lost Marwin Gonzalez and maybe Dallas Keuchel. The rotation maybe has a little bit more holes without Dallas Keuchel and Charlie Morton. Now it's going to be more reliant on Garrett Cole and Justin Verlander. Colin McHugh likely slides back into the rotation. And then former Grizzly Josh James likely to be in the rotation this year. And the question is, do they have enough firepower to get to be a contender? I certainly think they'll win the West, but I don't know if they have what's enough to beat the big boys of the East. And they could definitely look for more bullpen help. You could see Brad Peacock thrown back into the rotation this year. And can they find that shutdown closer? That's going to be the other things. Back end pitching is going to be big for the Astros this year if they want to contend. But that's how I kind of have the AL West for this week, for this year. Next show we will be hopefully Sunday. It will be the very stacked NL East for every team but the Marlins. Everybody have a good Friday. Everybody, peace. We'll see you soon. Good night.